Namaste and a very good morning to everyone who has joined us today. So, once again, we're back with the weekly episodes of Dialogue with Educationists. A hearty welcome to each one of you who have joined us today. Metamorphosis' visionary mission is to educate and empower entrepreneurial skill sets in students right from the school level. We drive them through the real world of what various entrepreneurs go through. And last week, we launched our first cohort of students who have started their own journeys to set up entrepreneurial ventures for their innovative ideas, which is the Metamorphosis School of Entrepreneurship. Dialogue with Educationists is one of these initiatives, and it's an exciting discussion with educationists, parents, teachers across the globe on topics related to today's education system. These topics would be reflecting onto parents, school principals, teachers, the entire education system, or even the education policy. So without any further delays, let me introduce to you the panelists we have today. We have Mrs. Sasmita Mohanty, Director Principal of Sanjay Godawat International School. With over decades of experience in education and work diversely from founding the Sahodaya complex to being part of various examination boards, she's bagged with multiple awards and has also worked with social service projects. I welcome such a dynamic educationist like you, ma'am, on our forum today. Thank you for joining us today. We also have with us Mrs. Geeta Varshneya, Executive Principal at Sri Ram Global School, Greater Noida. Previously, she has been associated with multiple educational institutions as the principal and also worked closely with the CBSE and IB curriculum boards. Received multiple awards and honors for her diverse work in the school ecosystem and was also recognized for multiple landmark programs which she initiated in her journey. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today and enlightening the viewers. We have with us a parent, Mr. Ravi Kumar Bamuri, a retired software architect, former professor, and now an active portfolio management practitioner. His keen interest is in understanding global macroeconomics and current affairs with a view to apply the learnings to local investment decisions. Though Ravi has previously taught undergraduate classes in various US universities, he is now learning full-time as a father in training to his two twins, and today he has joined us to give us a parental dimension on the topic of discussion. Lastly, we have Mrs. Sonal Ahuja, founder of House of Learning. She's an educational alchemist, is a lifelong learner who passionately believes in the power of learning and bringing change. Supporting effective learning has been her life's aim. Apart from being an early childhood education expert, she has taken expertise and experience on neuro-linguistic programming. Associate with many schools to conduct training programs for teachers, students, and parents. And today she is here to drive the topic, what is the role that parents play from the tag of a caretaker to a career maker? Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. And once again, I would like to welcome all the panelists and appreciate them for sharing their time on a Sunday morning. So before we begin, some guidelines to all the panelists and the viewers. Panelists, the next 55 minutes of this discussion is all yours. And viewers, if you have any questions, you can put in the questions on your live channels and we shall address them. So let's start off today's session. Hand it over to you, Mr. Sonal Ahuja.
Thank you so much, Disha. Thanks a lot. And welcome to all the panelists. We have already spoken for a minute before we commenced. It's my pleasure meeting and seeing you all. So as Disha rightly said, that the topic is role of a parent from a caretaker to a career maker. Now, you know, when I was going through this topic, till the time I was reading caretaker, okay, I was fine. But when I saw that it's about career making of a child, that kind of rang the bell for me. I mean, I somehow believe that the biggest misconception that the modern world has taught us is that once you become a parent, now it's your full-time job. A. B, you are the only one who is responsible for the, taking care of your child. Though a child is born in a lovely ecosystem, but a mother and a father, parents, are the ones who are extremely responsible and exclusively responsible for the child. Number 3 would be that not only this, I mean, our role doesn't stop here. It's more than that. Then it goes to the future of the child. That we as parents are responsible for the career paths of the children as well. So now this is always, going on in my head as a mother too, that are we really responsible to take up such a huge role when it comes to parenting a child? So in a way, I would say that parenting is helping converting our prolific producers, they have the capabilities. But what we are doing is we're converting them into the habitual consumers. And no wonder that's why children nowadays come back to you, even in that case, in the classrooms also come and say, oh, we are getting bored. So, my point today is to invite you to express your point of view before we dive further into the topic. What do you think, in your point of view, is parenting all about? Let's bring a new paradigm today about parenting. So, I would like to start with you, Ms. Geeta, if you could put some viewpoints here about it.
So thank you, Sonal. Uh, I think parenting is the most beautiful and the most challenging experience once is is one is having in his life. And of course, there are various views, perspectives of parenting. But to me, parenting is something which we should take very naturally. I would compare parenting to maybe a gardener's job, just what he does to a sapling, a little nudge, little bit of watering, exposing to sunlight, protecting when the sapling is small, just that bit kind of care. But parenting is not overbearing. Every child is born with some inherent qualities. Every child has his or her own calling in life. And as a parent, our responsibility is to help the child reach that calling, achieve that, what he's come here for. So it's cannot be that we have to make the child's career or something. No, nothing of that sort. We have to just take care. And you see, it starts right from the beginning, even before the child is born. Please remember, a gardener also prepares the bed. He loosens the soil. So you see, even before we take the decision of becoming a parent, we have to do some kind of, cleansing of our body, mind, and spirit. Because we are going to actually give home to a soul. So, we should be ready for that and we should be welcoming that. So a whole lot of precaution, a whole lot of nice things to do and stay happy and peaceful during pregnancy, staying healthy. And right from day one, it's the child actually smiles at everybody. We teach the child, to have these frowns and these things. Otherwise, naturally, the child is always smiling. So it is a lot of this that is required, the natural way of treating and forming some very good habits right from the beginning. It is only this that we can give them as parents, only good habits, very healthy habits, very peaceful and congenial environment at home. Children will not learn what we tell them. Children will learn by observing our own behavior. So one thing that you have to do as a parent is always be careful about your own behavior, because they are observing the way you treat others, the way you talk to others, the way you conduct yourself, and they'll be a mirror of that, because they feel this is right. If my parents are doing it, it is right. So parenting is more about, and I also feel that parenting helps you evolve your own self, because once you are a parent, you're always a parent. And you have to do the right things. So it is, I think, a beautiful relationship. It is something nature has given us, as a bounty, that we bring up a child. We should do it very happily. And we should not be forcing children to do things. Right from the beginning, we should enable them to take decisions. I see a lot of telling happening, with the kids. Get up, study, get ready, eat, a lot of telling happens. But we should have a lot of decision making coming from the child. Okay, what would you like to do now? What would you like to wear for the party? What would you like to eat? And give options and tell them the consequences of those options, and slowly groom them to do this analysis on their own. So I love kids when they have an opinion. Okay, the child is thinking. So we should encourage this, that as a parent, we must encourage the child to look for his own identity, because each one is, I know there is no other Geeta Varshneya in this world. So if I'm unique, same as my child. So I can't force my child to become somebody I didn't become, or is a dream or this. I have to let the child be what he's come here for. Thank you, Sonal. Would add more later.
Thank you so much. And you know what all you said, I was listening word to word, and it kind of gives me three major points. One, that you need to empty your cup. That's so beautiful, because when you're raising a child, you have to be like in a state of know nothing state when you're there around your child. And then I think the point you've given is mirroring. What you do, your children follow. That's the best, that's the easiest way I've ever seen the parenting strategy, if you want to follow, is, if at all there is any strategy, I think it's about mirroring. You do and the children follow. And also the metaphor you use, like a gardener, you said a gardener, and it rolled a whole picture in my head where I could see all the things that are needed for an ecosystem in a garden. Similarly, you can do in your family. So I think if three things from your talk taken away, all the other things what you have said, it fall in place on an autopilot. So it's so wonderful listening to lovely points. I will go further with building upon the same thing to you, Ms. Sasmita. What do you think, according to you, is parenting all about?
So once again, a very, very happy morning to all of you. And parenting is such a interesting topic for all of us, those that are working as educationists, because we consider that when we see a beautiful and tasty fruit, then we feel that what is gone into the root. So when there is a strong root which is providing on time everything what is needed to have the end result, to have a very sweet fruit which is going to be enjoyed and cherished by everyone. So that is very important. We being teachers and parents, we are the holder of the possession of the most valuable assets of our nation. So we should realize that responsibility, and parents also should realize the responsibility, how important it is to create good human being and good upright citizens for the nation. If all this work is being, or the responsibility is being realized from the beginning, it becomes easier. Rather than having comparison, rather than having different kind of expectations from the children, the first thing what need to be emphasized by the parents, that is to create a happy child, to create the environment where the child is happy without having any expectation, unconditional love. Everybody cannot be same, right? There are in one family, two brother and sister are there, they're not equal. But then everybody has something which is good, need to be appreciated. If the strength and weaknesses of the children are being identified by the parents, and they understand that everybody is not made and measured as the processes and product which is happening in the machine, and they all are human beings, and there should not be any kind of comparison that why somebody is getting more marks than you. It might be your neighbor or it might be your friend, and everybody need to be created in the race that okay, they need to get into the best of the university, or they need to get into the best of the educational system. So that is making very, very a lot of stress and tension is coming for the children. They're not able to enjoy their childhood, because when there is time for them to feel happy, to be excited, to explore, to try different things, or to be creative, all these things are missed out because everybody is running after marks. So education is not about marks. Education is creating and encouraging and making whatever is already existing within the human being, just to giving, exploring it and bringing the best form of it. But that is not been recognized. And because of that, always we try to do things and find out and make survey and see that what is going wrong, where the things are going wrong, why this is the outcome, Why a child today, out of the class of 20, 30, why few of them they're not happy, why they're left back? So it's a question mark that parents need to also think about and look into their own responsibility, what need to be done. Because when they measure everything with others, so then they make somewhere the compromise, or somewhere they feel that okay, they are disrespecting the child potential, they are not giving what is supposed to be given to the children. And then the environment, what need to be there, the trust what is supposed to be there between the children and the parents, that is also is lost. So the biggest challenge today is doing parenting for the 21st century kids. So education, what I say, if the parents would consider that, okay, there are different skills what need to be developed from the childhood, because when we talk about skills, we talk about that all of a sudden the skills cannot be improved or could be demonstrated. It need to be a practice which need to be done in a smaller portion from the childhood. So there are, it cannot be the whole responsibility of the school, that to be working in creating the best of the human being and leaving everything to the school. So there should be equal sharing and participation of the parents in each and every program, events, decision making, anything is going on. It has been found out that the parents, those are active, I mean to say those are proactive, and they have a good relationship and a good communication with the teachers and with the school principal. We find the children, not only they do well in academics, even otherwise they do very well in all the other aspects. So even it is necessary for the parents do not to be over protective, or everything to be given, spoon fed. Children should be also made to do certain kind of household activities, helping parents, so that they understand that what is the, they develop empathy towards the parents. Because when we compare, we find out that when we were children, we were asked at home to do variety of activities at home. But today's children, they don't do anything. I have heard parents telling that my child don't even drink a glass of milk on his own. We have to serve it. Even if the child is in 10th grade, where the child is supposed to be sharing some kind of activities at home. So parents, they keep telling that we have to serve the cup of milk on the table, and then my child is going to have. So then I keep asking that why is it so? There is nothing wrong if the children are doing and helping the parents at different kind of household chores. In fact, they would understand what is the value of doing, contributing some their own personal work or the family work. They know the distribution of labor, and then they also know the value of doing certain work. It always should not be there in future course of life that they have the white collar job and they sit at the place and keep expecting people to be doing work. It is necessary that how they're contributing to the team, contributing to their colleagues, contributing to the places wherever they're working. So all these things are very, very essential for the parents, that how to keep the children grounded. Might be the parents have the best of the wealth, or they're very affluent from the economic point of view. But if they are not keeping the children grounded, then it becomes very, very difficult, because they feel that it is their rights. Children always feel that it is their rights, that everything to be given to them, and they take things for granted. They lose gratitude. If the child is not having gratitude, and they grow like the most arrogant individual, and they forget everything, that in a society which is most wanted human quality, so they don't imbibe and they don't inculcate that particular quality. So
I agree with every point you are mentioning. And I don't know, somehow I feel your talk has brought in the stakeholdership orientation, like you've involved education, marks, and everything. It's so you've taken parenting to a larger picture. And also, I also believe that what you're saying is that parents keep on doing this, parents keep on complaining this, which I will come back to you and discuss with you on this particular point, where I feel, is it, we need to question ourselves, that is it really about parents going to the schools and complaining about children, or they have to kind of open their own baskets and see what have they done in the previous years with the child while nurturing, that the outcome is that the children are sitting at home and they're not even liking to grab a glass of milk maybe. So it's controversial to talk on whether it's about children or it's about the parenting styles or the flaws that adults have shown or depicted in some time back in years. So I'll come back to you. Thanks a lot for your wonderful inputs. And I'll go to Mr. Ravi now. Ravi, your views on it.
Oh, where shall I start? I came on this panel as a parent, okay? And then I thought I was the only parent. And then I realized Geeta ji, Sasmita ji, Sonal ji is also a parent. And then I realized I have so much support. So I'm not carrying the burden of the entire parenthood myself. I'm sharing it here with the panel, so I feel very relieved. I consider myself to be a first-time parent. So I tell my kids, look, I'm a first-time dad, I'm a first-time parent. I'm a dad in training, I'm a parent in training. I'm in school right now with you. So you give me feedback, how I'm doing, what I'm doing. Am I doing it right? Is it fun? Are you learning? What would you like to do? So there is a two-way communication between me and the child. And this is not just now, ever since they were little, ever since they were 6 months. I happened to be in California when I had my kids. My wife is an excellent mother, but I'm a very involved parent. So I used to work full time. And I said, this is not going to work anymore. It's an extraordinary privilege. Having kids is a blessing from God. And I said, I'm going to take it seriously and then be very involved. And I shifted from being a completely startup mode, full-time director level kind of thing into a completely consultant level where I'm 24/7 at home. My wife used to do PhD at that time. And I said, I'm going to stay home and I'll be a stay-home dad. So in the afternoons when they are done with their lunch and then when they are sitting in their car, I used to drive them for 20 miles. And then by the time we come back, they're asleep. And then I would have all my meetings within 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and I'm done. And then when they wake up, we'll go to the shopping center. We'll stand in the aisles and say, this is the price. This is the full price. This is the discounted price. This is a product. This is what it does. Right from when they were 1 year old. I mean, I'm not kidding. Right from when they were 1 year old, I used to immerse them in my life. And my life was immersed with them being at the center of my world. So it was a two-way relationship. It was very different from a conventional parent-child relationship. I'm curious about what they are finding curious. I'm interested in what their strengths are. Now they are 12 years old. They've just joined the Metamorphosis School of Entrepreneurship. I'm really excited for them. More than their own traditional school, I'm excited about how they will receive this course. So for me, I'm a parent who is just learning to be a parent around my kids. I'm like, if you think about ballroom dancing, a good leader is a person who follows a follower. Essentially, I'm not leading. I'm trying to lead and they're telling me something else. And so I'm dancing around them. I'm following them based on their skills, their unique characteristics. My daughter is very different from my son. I mean, they are completely poles apart, even though they are twins. Absolutely no common ground, but they don't ever fight. They're very collaborative. They are problem solving. They are investigative. They are curious. They are entrepreneurial. So I don't have a lot of these skills myself. So I want them to have these skills. So if you ask me as a parent, what is my philosophy? My philosophy is to be involved in their world. I want to know what they're interested in. I tell them, what do you want to do? And let's figure things out. You want to, like for instance, with my daughter, I say, you want a dress? Okay, let's go on Amazon. Let's figure out how to shop. Let's compare the items with Flipkart. Let's look at the materials. Is it rayon? What is rayon? What is lyocell? How do they manufacture it? Is it natural? Is it artificial? How do you procure the material? So their interests are the portals from where we expand and then explore the universe. I'm a fundamentally a simple dad in the sense that I believe in transparency. I believe in connecting with them. I believe in involvement. I believe that one of the most important attributes of a parent is to be involved in the lives of their children. And the same thing goes with if I'm a sibling, I want to be involved in my sibling's life. I want to know what's going on, what are their concerns, what are their cares. Likewise with my children. But I tell the children, you are the pilots. Okay, it's like I had my own plane. I was flying, and then my wife came along, and then there was some turbulence, and then we kind of stabilized the plane. And now we have twins. You add the twins. They come. They are trying to pull the joystick. They want to play. They want to learn how the plane behaves. So I say, come over, sit in the chair of the pilot. Let's figure this thing out. Let's bank left and let's bank right, and let's zoom up and zoom down and land and take off. We're trying to figure things out. We're trying to experience things together. For me, it's a joy to be around them. For me, it's a joy to understand them. For me, it's a joy to give them responsibility. Hey, this is your decision. Okay, you are the CEO and you are the decision maker. I am your resource. You tell me, not just for budget, but also for decision making. Let's figure this out. How do things work? How does pricing work? What's the difference between price and value? What's going on in the world? What is US doing to China? What is China doing in the South China Sea? What is Japan doing with respect to Europe, with respect to currencies, with respect to stocks? What's going on with COVID? How is the world responding? Why is Sweden doing so good? Why is America not doing so good? Why are educated countries not behaving very educatedly? And why are other countries, like even in Vietnam, they are handling the COVID situation beautifully? Why is it that we can't learn from them? I am very involved in the present moment. I want to steer them away from historic Darwinian theories into what's happening right now. How can we figure this world out? What is happening? How does it impact us? Why metamorphosis? Why online learning? Why on-ground learning? Why can't we learn from Khan's Academy? Why can't we go to the MIT portal and then pick up the lectures of these famous people? Why can't we learn from them? Why can't I learn from my children? Why should I have an ego and say, I'm a parent, I know everything, I'm going to figure things out myself and I'm going to tell you? No, for us, it's an exploration. Let's go play on the beach. Let's see what seashells we find. Let's understand how life is formed. Right from the extraordinary universe all the way down to the DNA. There is so much to learn. I say in DNA, you have 100 Nobel Prizes. You figure things out, you get 5 or 10. And they laugh, obviously, because today universities like Columbia University, MIT, they say we have 5 Nobel Prize winners. And here I'm telling them, look, if you focus on genetics, you can get 5 Nobel Prizes, easy peasy. And they say, wow, okay, fine. Let's work on it. So the point is, I tell them there are lots of questions that need to be answered. There are a lot of things that need to be figured out. We need to learn about ourselves. You need to learn about me. I need to learn about you. We need to learn how the world works, how companies are run, how companies are growing, how companies die. Case studies, which is one of the fascinating things about MBA programs. I say, let's examine the world. Let's see what works. Let's see what doesn't work. You tell me, am I putting pressure on you? Am I making you work harder than you would otherwise do? Because if you leave children to by themselves, they will always converge into Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hotstar, and that is where they will get stuck. And so what I do is I don't tease them out of that. I go into Netflix along with them and say, hey, let's watch it together. Okay, this is a new word. What do we do with this new word? Let's understand. What is the context? What is the meaning? Oh, this has 3 different kind of meanings. Which meaning is applicable? How do we apply that meaning? What are the application areas for this particular word? I say, you tell me what you're interested in. I want to enter your world. If my daughter likes Korean pop, I want to know more about Korean culture. My first flight out of India was by Korean Airlines, and we landed in Seoul. It was raining. It was a dreary place. If I, as a 20-year-old, find the world a little bit intimidating, my child who is 12 years old, I'm sure the child is finding it intimidating, right? It's very invasive. They are unsure, they're tentative, they're trying to figure things out. What they need is a partner. What they need is somebody who says, look, I'm with you. Not behind you, not in front of you, I'm with you. Let's figure these things out together. You're not the only one who's responsible for making good decisions. You are not the only one who is supposed to learn. I'm learning along with you. I'm finding this exciting. How do you find it? So that is my approach. My approach is I'm excited, I'm involved. I also basically say, are we doing this right? What can we do better? How can we figure things out? How can we have fun? If I shop with my daughter for the dress, I'm involved. I'm excited about discovering new colors, new designs. I'm learning from her taste. If I'm involved with my son about his fish, I'm learning about arowana. I'm learning about how much time he spends discovering new species. So every time I find something in the biology or geology or astronomy, which are the areas of his interest, I say, hey, did you know this is what's happening in this field? Anesthesia has been discovered almost 100 years back, and we still don't know how it works. We are still trying to figure out a lot of the fundamental building blocks of life as we know. And I say there is a lot to be discovered, a lot to be invented. Let's do this together. That's my philosophy.
Thank you so much, Ravi. It was wonderful. I could actually visualize you with your children while you were talking, to be really precise, because you're talking and I could see you so engaged. Your tone is as if that shows in your body, you know. That's the history of a person. If you've lived that, you've experienced that, only then is the aura you're showing today is evident. So it's beautiful. To me, if I have to kind of zero in what you have said in so many words, it's like you've understood the meaning of integrated learning for a child. You've given the ecosystem. Okay, now everything is coming in. You've made to understand what positioning is all about. Even your children can position and come on the pilot's place, which is you. So you've given an opportunity your children to position you, and you have taken the opportunity to position the children. If they are 12 years, I'm sure you must be behaving like a 12. I can well see in your words, your language tells a lot about you. And not only this, the right questions, philosophy that you're following. Because I've always believed, I've worked with schools and I've seen that a right question asked will have an apt answer that a parent or an educator wants to listen. So it's not the art of a child to give the answers, it's the art of actually questioning and putting them in the right way. And I see that in you. And I would like to say, I actually wrote the words, what you lastly said, that your role is there, I could see, is you're with the children and not for the children. And that's what you also concluded saying, I'm always with them. So this is so beautiful. I mean, I love the philosophy you're following. And I think all the viewers, it's a wonderful thing for all of us to see, is it's more important to be with the child. Another thing is aware. I'm sure you must be reading a lot. I'm sure you must be researching a lot, because to get to the level of a child, you have to be an aware being, first of all. And all of us kind of believe that even I'm a parent, even if we are educationists or doing best in our careers, but our children are 10 steps ahead. So we have to be at their level. They don't have to be at our level. So wonderful, Ravi. Thanks a lot for this insight. So I would now like to build upon asking Ma'am Geeta. Uh, yes, you very rightly said, you know, it's not the parents' role to choose the career or help the children in the career. But most of the parents in our world, in our country, and most of the places, even outside India also, I travel a lot, I see even the people abroad, they're not all the same. They also have some mindset where they think they are the crusaders. They are the ones who would take care of the career of children. So could you just put some light on how this journey of a parenting can go to the career making in the right way? I mean, if you can just express and give the message in a way to the viewers that if you're a parent, and then yes, of course, we cannot deny the fact that career is also there, because as parents we have to collate the funds and do everything. We cannot go off this responsibility. But what is the right way to create that beautiful path which is not interrupting with right learning of a child?
Yeah. So again, can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's the new hello. Okay. So I would say that parenting for a career of your child was the mantra for the previous generation. I saw a lot of parents helping their children become IITians and doctors, and and planning it right from the beginning. But doing something like that today is very, very risky, because today the world is very different. These millennials are going to be maybe in a profession for 4 to 5 years max. The world is changing so fast that they would change vocations maybe 10 times or more in their life. So what parenting requires today is to create these skills in the children of adapting, of being lifelong learners, of changing with the circumstances. And that requires, that requires a lot of courage. That requires a lot of trust in self, that yes, I can do. If this changes, then also I can manage. And this courage can be built, this confidence can be built again by experiences and opportunities. So we have to throw some challenges to them so that they extend their, limits. It is always this, that you don't have to make the child, very comfortable. You have to all the time, throw some new challenges so that the child keeps on growing, adapting. And that is the most important. As I said, I would like to reiterate that what I said earlier, that we have to give some very strong and healthy habits. Because I think the pandemic has proven to the world that health is so very important. Immunity is so very important. So parenting today is giving, the skills which will help you survive. It no more says that, okay, I want you to become this person. I want you to go to maybe the defense services or an IAS or this, because you may change. The whole world may change to a different setup. So then what will you do? So if you develop the skills, if you develop the, the analytical skills, the thinking skills, the resilience, the fighting spirit, the willpower of a child, then you are making a successful human being. So today parenting is all about this. And I feel sorry for kids, this online thing, Sonal, has actually opened the parents to a lot of competition. So what I see in classes, that they see the other kids doing it online and they feel why my child is not doing, so they try and help. They try to give the answer to the child, which is so dangerous. You have to let the child learn on his own, at his own pace. You see, finally everybody would pass class 12. It's not that. So we have to, nurture these qualities which are the demand of the current the century, because these are the things that are required to survive in this world. And if we say, okay, I prepared you for this, and when the child actually goes to the job market, he finds that there is no demand for that, and he comes back and tells his dad that, okay, what did you do? I'm good for this only, and this is no more required in the world. So there is a danger for that. And see, and there are some more very basic things. How to live happily. How, and you have to have a social circle around you, which is also giving that kind of learning to the child. I mean, we say that it takes two to give birth to a child, but it takes a village to bring up a child. So what is the environment that you're providing? What is the kind of school that you've chosen for your child? So is it a school where they learn to compete in materialistic things, or is there a school where these skills are nurtured that I'm talking about? What is your, circle doing and saying? So it is important that we give the right kind of, experience to the child, so that he grows up to be a smart, ready to face the world kind of a person, rather than always going back and asking the parent, okay, what do I do now? We have to give advice. Every time the child comes, we have to give advice, but we have to give advice with the right questions and not always with the solution. So that's it, sir.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. And it also tells that we should leave what in house to the children, and probably be with them, just nurturing and listening to them and giving them enough exposures. Yes. So that they can be on their journey. To a large extent, I also feel that children have better ecosystems. They're moving around in their friends. They're moving around, they're traveling a lot more than a parent sometimes.
Absolutely.
And they know what's happening in the world. And the parents come and kind of starts guiding, okay, and because a doctor parent would want a child to get into doctors. Like I've seen my friends who are pilots and both of the kids are into flying. And I was asking them once that, why is it that they are into flying? And very proudly the person says, yeah, they will join flying only. No other thing in our family. With that pride we feel what we are doing, we kind of give them in inheritance to them. And we forget that they might have a different set of skills with them. Or maybe they can nurture far better than that. Yes. So yes, so yeah, and I really love each time you say that happiness. that should not be avoided. I think that should be on the topmost. That's number one in the whole list. Yes, because if it is there in children, many things will go off from this world and it'll be a better place to be in. So, ma'am, Sasmita, I would like to ask you, like Geeta ma'am just now said that you have to have that skill in you as a parent. So would you like to give some of the tips or some of the ways a parent can feel empowered? Now I think we've been talking a lot about parents, and the ball is kind of in the court of a child, because child is the best and the adults are somebody who nurture wrongly. So even I'm talking like that. So I want to give a pause to that thought process and come that sometimes parents also feel helpless and they don't do it knowingly. Maybe they've been brought up, their belief system is such which we cannot ignore, which is their living in their life, and they feel helpless and they cannot go further and do what other parents are doing. And they get, kind of shikar of comparisons. Like this child is doing, do that. They do that. So I want to know from you, what are the ways you can give to the parents for them to feel better and empowered, so that they can be a part of the world?
Yeah. Hello once again to everybody. Actually, today's world, very, very important it is for the parents, if they are, helping and shaping the career of the children. They need to have real awareness, and they also need to know that what are the interests of the children. It's not that always we parents consider that what is going on in the market, or what is the neighborhood child is doing, or uncle is something and aunt is something and the child has to become that. They need to come out of it, and they need to identify that what is the liking of the child. And then if they have some kind of orientation, or if they get it done, some counseling or something like that, or they have some provision from the today's schools, those they are proactive schools, those they are interested that they should give lot of exposure to the parents. So they organize even the career fair, they provide counseling for the parents, they make them understand that what need to be done, how they should not be fiddling around the career choice of the children. And they also should develop, if they themselves cannot do, they should go to the professional. They also take the advice of the professional, which will help them or the children to understand them very well, their strength, weaknesses, and depending on their strength and weaknesses, what are the different career available, so that it would help the children to go ahead in thinking that, okay, fine, if I'm good at sports, many times parents, they feel that, okay, sports, there cannot be any kind of career choices in future. Dance, music, there could not be any career choices. So what happened, they forced the child to leave all those liking of their interest of their subjects, and they were made to do something what they do not enjoy much. So in the bargain, what happens, they have to leave the rest of the life doing the profession which they don't enjoy. I would appreciate Mr. Ravi, so happy he said that I have taken retirement and what I'm doing, I'm enjoying. And then even if my family members are forcing me to get into job, I'm doing what I like. So that is what, even the parents need to understand this fact, that the child should be happy and should be enjoying, and the passion of the child need to be understood. That
So,
is the
ma'am,
only thing.
I
Yeah.
want to ask you here something.
Yeah.
This is something that what should be done. So what
Yeah.
I want to tell to the people is, how can they shift this mindset? Are there any ways you can, because you would have experienced in your life and you're heading the schools where you would have guided parents where that shift was possible, because they know it, parents know it, what they're supposed to do, but they don't do sometimes. So
Yeah.
how can you feel this mindset shift? What are those quick hacks?
There could be what we do. We do a lot of activities because we involve them in those activities. So when we involve them in those activities and they see that, okay, there is some changes happening, and beyond the classroom teaching and learning, there are other things which are there. And then we also guide them, stating them that, okay, fine, there could be a career in this, there could be a career in that. We empower them. We have professional talks. We call different people from different professions, and then make them to present themselves, give them awareness to the parents. So it should not be only one or two profession, there could be many. And how successful even the people have become successful choosing something which is unconventional. So this is what we keep doing to bring awareness among the parents. But it's a long way to set the, change the mindset of the parents. It requires a lot of training. It requires a lot of awareness. It requires a lot of involvement of the institution to bring about these changes. So,
So I got your word. That means
yeah,
word involvement from the parents will bring a big shift
yeah,
where parents will start getting involved. So that could be one tag.
yes,
Should not be on an upper layer of sending a child to a good school and leaving to the principal and the teachers.
yeah, yes,
Let them take over. So it's more about their role can never be finished. The engagement has to be there. That's a good quick learning for the parents, that they cannot go off engagements and involvement in the child's life, school, and everything a child does. Thank you
yes.
so much. I'll come to you, Ravi. Um, I very rightly quoted, the document we shared. I said you are an engineer, and it caught my eye. Because, I've seen engineers very busy splicing and dicing the information. And I was right at guessing it without even meeting you. So my question to you is, since you're too much deeply into parenting, is what you have used your profession and it's generalized in your parenting. That's validated. So now tell us your stories. Tell us real stories. It'll be a great learning for all of us, where Ravi did this to the children. This is what was the outcome, and it was fantastic. Give us quick stories which will excite us and see what relationship of a parent and a child is.
So, as I said, I'm a first time dad, I'm a first time parent, I'm trying to figure things out. I'm a big believer in a lot of things. I'm a big believer of outdoors, indoors. I'm a big believer of technology. Very early on, I said you need to have your own cockpit, which is basically a 27-inch iMac. And my wife was like, why do you want to spend money on an iMac? I mean, the kids are little, just give them a little toy. No, I said they need the complete cockpit, the same thing as I would have, and let them figure out the world. And that has been one of the most instrumental things. I believe in books. I surround them with 2,000 books. My wife says, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to go to some ashram and then join the ashram. I say, please bear with me just 10 more years. And once they are conversant with digital technologies, they will learn anywhere. I believe in Matru Deva Bhava, Pitru Deva Bhava, Acharya Deva Bhava, and Atiti Deva Bhava. I believe that my mom was my best teacher because she connected with me. She did not even go past 7th grade. My dad was a grad from Columbia University. He has a master's in public health. My dad connected less, but my dad gave me freedom to explore, freedom to be myself. He never said you have to be this, you have to be that. And partly because I was the sixth child. He had 9 children. I was the sixth child. So he said, I'm done with the children. You figure out what you want to do. But that was an exceptional blessing for me because it gave me freedom. So I want to give the freedom to my children. You figure out what you want to be. My son wanted to be a steam engine driver because he was so big on Thomas the Tank Engine. I said, go for it. Let's figure out how the steam engine works, what kind of materials they use, what kind of coal they use, how is the steam produced and everything. Now he wants to be a field biologist. Tomorrow he will be something else. Look at myself. I was a child, then I was an employee, then I was an independent developer. And then I was a husband, then I'm a parent. Tomorrow I'll be something else. I have to be willing to learn myself. I love outdoors. I know how it feels to be in the midst of Himalayas. If I don't have that experience myself, how can I tell the kids there are the great outdoors, whether in the United States or the Europe or in India? How can I tell them India is extraordinary culturally, geographically, in terms of thinking? How can I tell them, look, ideas come from everywhere. Ideas come from beggar. I used to interact with a 90-year-old cobbler who was working under the tree and her hand was shaking. She never begged for money. Her children, her grandchildren abandoned her. but she always used to cobble. So every time I used to be in that area, I used to go there. I used to give her some money. She would take her hand, put it on my scalp, and bless me. Why can't we see teachers everywhere? Why can't we see teachers in a guy with ethics, morals, professionalism? Why can't we learn from MIT the same way we learn from Khan's Academy, and the same way we can learn from somebody who's a field practitioner, somebody who's doing stuff? Why can't we see teachers, parents, brothers, uncles in other people? So this is an experiential part of my learning. I'm growing as an individual, even though I'm a parent. And I say, I'm not perfect. And I don't expect you to be perfect. I'm not Bill Gates. I'm not expecting you to be Bill Gates. Perhaps you're better than Bill Gates. I don't know. It is for you to figure it out. It is an opportunity for you to figure out what you're cut for. I do believe in words. I believe in ideas. And I say, unless you master the vocabulary of the English language, and then tomorrow the vocabulary of whatever field you choose, you will not be able to go to a higher level and synthesize new ideas. The more you have it in your brain, not in your computer, not in your cell phone, not in your laptop, the more you have in your brain, the more connections you can establish between interdisciplinary sciences, the more equipped you are to make a difference in the world, right? So I say today the computing is a big part of everything. If you want to make a mark in astronomy, you have to be able to program, whether you use Python or any other language, to compare the data that's being streamed from a lot of different sources. Today, we are not having a dearth of data, knowledge. We are having a dearth of the involvement into the process of understanding what it means. What does it mean? How could you make it better? Why did they come up with this? Why can't you do something else? We are seeing a revolution in automobile industry from an internal combustion engine to an electric vehicle. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to the world? We have a 5 kilowatt solar panel in our house. How much does it produce? How much does it save? I want them to be involved in my life. I'm interested in portfolio management. I'm interested in whether dollar, which has been a king of the hill since 1971, is going to be the currency, the default global reserve currency going forward. If not, what does it mean to the currencies? What does it mean to the geopolitical stability of the world? Who is going to be the new king of the hill? Is China going to be the king of the hill? Is China going to ally with Russia? What's going to happen to the world? How does it impact you? How does it impact the way we live? How does COVID impact learning? For them, it's a natural process. Online learning is simple. My daughter is in the next room. I need to reach her. I have her on the WhatsApp. I am able to communicate whether I'm halfway across the world in California or here. I have the same kind of connection with my daughter. If I'm here on this webinar, in a different window, I have WhatsApp. My daughter is telling me, stop talking so much, stop sharing so much. Now stay on the point. So I have this backseat drivers and co-pilots in my life. I'm like the co-pilot for them in their life. So I would say, if there is only one thing that the parents who are watching this webinar need to remember, I would say it's not whether you're an expert. It's not whether you're somebody and it's not whether you're worth something. It is whether you are involved in your children's life. As simple as that. The only indicator that will make a huge difference to your children is whether you understand who they are, what they want to do, what they're striving for. How can you kindle the curiosity, the intellectual curiosity, the professional curiosity, the interest in learning more about the world? If you are with them, if you teach them that they can learn by themselves, they don't need you. Eventually, they won't need you. There'll be individuals who can make good decisions, competent decisions in spite of insufficient information, which is exactly this complete world. You don't know what's the right answer. You don't know what's the right career. Today, you might be involved and you might be successful in one career. You should be fluid enough to understand that that's going to disappear. That industry, that entire economy is going to disappear, and you have to reshape yourself to a new, wonderful platform that's global in scale, instantaneous, and you need to be nimble. So that's what you need to teach. You need to figure things out yourself. I'm going to be your co-pilot. I'm going to be supporting you. I'm going to be giving you the confidence to discover this world. That's the only message I have.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, right. I do agree. I fully agree. Like, it's not only about the generations, but it's like every 10 years a human evolves too. So I am also looking at the time going on very fast for us, though I had one quick round of comments, which I'm skipping now because we have had a wonderful discussion already and Ravi has very well concluded it. I don't even think I need to conclude it any further. So we have around 5 to 6 minutes to go for the questions round. Disha, if we can take over that.
Absolutely. We'll go forward for the questions. We have a couple of questions from the audience who's viewing us. But firstly, I would really like to appreciate all of you. I mean, amazing points put in from the parent perspective, from the educational institution, from an early childhood perspective of how students grow. A couple of questions we have. Firstly, we have a question for Ravi sir. How to encourage learning through failures? And as a parent, we don't want our kids to fail either. So how would you encourage them, through learning from failures?
There's no failure, it's only learning. If you're playing Super Mario and you just suddenly went into a pit and the game ends, you're not a failure. You learn from it. You know that there is a pit. Next time you'll be more careful. If you're trying to start a company, the company fails, it's a learning experience. My philosophy is no matter whether you choose architecture or astronomy or some kind of a real estate venture or international currency trading, you need to learn the top 10 ways in which you could fail. So you're not focusing on success. You're trying to buttress your and fortify your security. You're trying to make sure that you don't step into the same morass, same mire that other people have fallen repeatedly. You're trying to conquer the human patterns of behavior that will lead to failure. So my philosophy, if I write a book, it's going to be about top 10 ways how you could screw things up in architecture. So I'll have like 40 books or 50 books for each profession, like top 10 ways in which you could fail as an educator, top 10 ways in which you could fail as a parent. So don't be so obsessed about failure at all. Failure is normal. The way things are supposed to work, things usually don't work. And that is life. That is the real world. You develop street smarts when you figure out how you could fail. What are all the possible ways in which you could be cheated of your money? A man and his money are soon parted. That's basically what a lot of the schemes in the world are. How would you protect yourself? You learn how you could fail. Then you can fly and succeed gloriously. That's my approach.
Thank you so much, Ravi sir. I mean, I hope whoever was asked this question, I think Ravi sir has answered your question that I think failures is a part of life and we should take failure as a learning to grow and succeed. The next question, any of you could take it up. What measures would you take to improve the risk appetite of your kids? Any of you, Sonal ma'am or any of the three? Yeah, surely Geeta ma'am, you can take it up.
Okay. So you can hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We have to throw them into new situations and see how they behave. How are they behaving? How are they responding to this lockout in the room, in the houses? Are they thinking of ways and means of dealing with the problems that we have? So the risk appetite comes when you expose them to these risks. And we must also encourage some way of developing this risk aptitude by telling them to try out things. Like we say, entrepreneurship is the next big thing. They are all going to be employers. So how do you try out to become an employer? How do you try out a new company? So I remember when I was, I think about 10 years old, I had opened up a library in my garage in the summer vacation with all the books that I had and the comics I had. And I learned so much from that venture. So when kids engage into, things, then they see, okay, this is the risk I have. And we always ask them to calculate the risk. I mean, that is one thing. And then how are you going to cover it? How are you going to mitigate it? Everything would have risk. Everything would have some ups and downs. But it depends on how you're going to manage that risk. So again, exposing them to experiences. Okay, we have a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. So what do? The child must think and offer you some alternative. Of course, you know what is to be done. But if the child thinks and tells you, let's see, our Tiffany must be working, I'll help you change. That means the child is thinking of, the solution. So you have a problem here, you are, in a lockdown and you want this particular thing. How do we get it? When the child thinks about it, okay, can we order online? Can we ask, the shopkeeper if he would do a delivery? So they are thinking. So you see, when they are thrown open into new conditions and they are successful sometimes, they are not successful sometimes, and they analyze what went wrong, then they become daring and risk-taking people. Because they know come what may. Yeah, they know come what may, I'll be able to do something out of this or learn something out of this.
True. Yeah. I can add on not the real context. Like my daughter completed her undergrad. This is for the parents who are viewing, who asked the question. She's in Boston right now. I couldn't call her back because of the pandemic. I was not trusting Vande Bharat that time. And now she's coming the next month. Now, she was supposed to complete her undergrad and get into a job, which is a common belief that you are undergraduated from US, you have to stay there for a year or two. Then why did you go there? Do something. Now, this pandemic has taught her a lot of experiences, a lot of ups and downs in her state of mind, where she never expected this to happen to her. Simultaneously, from July 2019, she was working on a startup idea and she pushed herself into, you never know if I have to go back India, I need to have a plan ready in my hand. So she was working on a startup and she applied for more than 50 interviews. There, no job in US right now at this point in time.
Absolutely.
And as parents, I think our role is, okay, you're most welcome back to your country and your home. Come on. And she's ready with her startup plan where she feels that it's good. Her words were like, it's good. God has given me this opportunity. I would have been into a job because of the pandemic. Now I'll become an entrepreneur. So she's ready with her great, unique idea of a startup. So I think, yes, ma'am very rightly said, everything teaches them. We don't have to intervene. We just have to give them enough opportunity to do that and not, kind of scare them of the repercussions and the outcomes of doing something else. This is how it is. Yeah.
There's one more thing, Sonal, I would like to say, Disha, because I don't think I'll meet so many parents again.
Absolutely.
See, parenting is so very important if we want a world without terror, without crime.
Absolutely.
If we give a good childhood to a child, where he's loved, he's cared for, he cannot do harm to others when he grows up. So I think that is the prime responsibility as parents that we have. I mean, everybody is a parent. As I said, we in school are parents for all our kids. So what is our responsibility? That we give them a lovely childhood where they explored, they fell, they made mistakes, but they were loved by all. They were cared for. They were recognized for all the, good things that we're doing. If we do that, I think our children will live in a much happier and a terror-free world. That's it. Thank you.
Absolutely, ma'am. So moving on to the next question, I think we have a lot of questions rolling in, but I'm really glad to take up the next question. So as in school, a principal or a teacher is generally the parent, or they play the parent role for at least a couple of hours of the day. And at home we have a parent. So one of the viewers have asked, as a parent, how would you avoid the peer comparison which is happening currently? Because the entire world has changed online, and like Geeta ma'am mentioned, the parents keep coming in and say, if the other child is able to do it, why isn't my child able to do it? So how would you avoid this kind of peer comparison which is going on?
Shall I take it?
You can take it.
Yeah. Actually, if the teachers and the parents, they are made aware that, okay, somebody is doing well in academics, but there is somebody who is doing very good in singing or in public speaking, and let us highlight and appreciate the child. And then the moral of the child is boosted up. And then we also make the parents aware that your child is not doing well in maths, but he's so good. It's so rare quality he has. So in this way, we can stop the peer comparison and make the parents to be aware that everybody is born with different qualities. We need to recognize that and appreciate. That's it.
All right, that's something really insightful, that every child is different and they're all God gifted in their own attributes. So I think we should respect each one's abilities and go ahead.
Also,
Yes,
Disha,
yes,
the parent who has asked the question, I would like to say is, question themselves from where this word comparison has come.
Yeah, correct.
Check the resource. Is it from the school, teachers, friends, or you? Unconsciously, if not consciously. So it's a time to check on that as well.
That's amazing. Amazingly well put. True. So we have another question, especially from a parent, and she's basically trying to ask something for her own child. So how do you guide the child that written work is also important? Because my child is always interested in doing oral and practical learning. So how do I instill that for written learning? That's her question. So any of you could take it up.
Yeah, actually, I would like to take it up
Perfect.
because written work is a skill, right? The child need to develop that skill. How speaking is a skill, writing is a skill, and if the child has to get the promotion and to have the certificate that academically the child is certified promoting from one class to another, our education system is still undergoing the process of writing the written examination, and this continue even the board exams, even international board examination happens through written exam. So we need to make the child understand the importance and create interest for him, understand what is the problem, why he doesn't want to read, means write. So what is making him not to write? So if we understand that what are the things, what is pulling him down not to write, and maybe we would able to plug out that problem and bridge the gap. So some reinforcement measures need to be taken by which the child can be supported and guided, and individually there could be monitoring of the child and appreciation for the child's work bit by bit. If it is done, maybe the child would able to, and that could be the parent who could work and act as a great motivator for encouraging the writing skill of the child, because it is important and the child need to learn.
Absolutely. Ma'am, Geeta ma'am, you wanted to add something to this.
Yes, I have seen this happening with a lot of kids at pre-primary stage. And parents are exasperated that he doesn't write, he doesn't want to write. So we have to actually delve deep into it, why the child doesn't want to write. Mostly, we have seen it's a problem of capability. We don't test, their fingertip muscles should be well developed so that they can have a nice grip on the pencil or whatever they are using, the crayon, and then they will move. And writing is such a great thing because it helps your eye, hand, mind coordination so well. So it's one of the skills that we have to develop growing up. I mean, it's learning, you are developing your cognitive skills by it. But, that is not done. And this can be seen in the early years. And once you become averse to writing, it goes on in school. So it's very important that we see why the child doesn't want to write. And, there are lovely things available now. We found that a round pencil is not good. A triangular pencil is better. It gives you a better grip. There are these grips available in the market, very comfortable grips which a child can use in the beginning. So you see, if we strike at the cause and help the child build up, what do you do for developing these? Only they need to play, they need to work, they need to make newspaper balls, do monkey bars. So we help the children to develop those prerequisite things that are required for writing. And of course, expose them that writing is a beautiful world. Expose them to good writing. That writing is something without which probably you will feel one part of expression in your life is missing. That you can speak, but you cannot write. So it's something that you will miss out. True. As you grow up. So you see, we have to delve more deeply rather than, just deal with something like this superficial. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Moving on to the next question, again from a parent. So kids have different demands and choices these days. We have fixed their priorities, but they still do not understand, and we can't force them somehow as a parent. So how do we console them or deal with such kind of demands? Yes, Geeta ma'am, you can go ahead.
See, this is again a matter of comparison. Once you compare the kids will also compare that my friend's dad got him the smartphone. So, that comes there. But there is something very basic that we need to start right from the beginning, and that is children must differentiate between needs and desires. As a parent, I need to fulfill your needs. I may not be able to fulfill your desires, which is fine, which you can grow up and fulfill yourself. So if we tell them this distinction right from the beginning, these are needs. These are things you need to grow up well, to develop your faculties. That I must provide as a parent. But if you have desire to own so many things or do this or do that, I may be able to fulfill, I may not, it may not be my priority at the moment. So this distinction has to come in early in life. And it can come in very nicely. And as I said earlier, also by demonstrating a lot. Am I also a desirous parent and fulfilling my desires, whenever there is a shopping bonanza on Myntra? Am I doing the same way? I have to demonstrate that. So that's it, Disha.
Yeah, I would like to add that
Sorry,
actually even parents also need to know that it's not always they would be satisfying the need of the child and becoming, the most liked and appreciated parent. There could be sometimes parents have to put their foot down and say that no. So they need to be firm at times. And if the child is getting annoyed or thinking that, okay, my parents are not giving me this and that when my friends, dad, they are giving, they're better, this, it's fine, it's okay. And the child will understand when the time pass, he will understand. So sometimes we have to ignore and be firm on the decision.
absolutely. Totally agree with the two of you. I think desires and needs, the clear difference between the two of them, and putting a step down and saying no is very essential, I think, nowadays, because I think every child's want is just increasing and increasing. As they say new things, it's only going to increase. It's never going to have a full stop. So we need to know where we need to put a full stop. A very interesting question for Ravi. So it was so one of the students of the Metamorphosis School has written that Abdul Kalam once said, "Fail means first attempt in learning." So a parent is asking me on the same, that how could we be a super cool parent like you?
Oh, first of all, I'm not cool. So don't assume that there is a cool, uncool parent. There are parents who care and there are parents who don't care. I mean, don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have the right emotional, psychological, educational, pedagogic approaches to teaching children. You just need to be involved. You just need to love them. You just need to know who they are. Like I teach words to my daughter, and today we do the New York Times crossword puzzle, and she kicks my behind. She is just as fast and as good about coming up with the words that are given as clues. And my son has extraordinary mental abilities. He can remember the episode in which 2 or 3 characters, he will tell the name of the characters and the exact statements that they made 2 years or 3 years back that he watched. I mean, that's extraordinary. Are you in touch with your child? Do you love your child? Then you don't need to know anything. You just be involved with them. You need to understand that they need to stay on the tracks, but the tracks themselves can go anywhere. The tracks are only there to design speedy movement so that they can figure out this world. The tracks sometimes won't even be there. You need to figure that out. You need to see a teacher in Geeta ma'am. I need to see a teacher in Sasmita ma'am. I need to see a teacher in Sonal and Disha, no matter what their age, no matter what their background. My mom was the best teacher. She was not very educated, but she was the smartest, wisest, most empathetic, because she was able to relate. She was able to connect. She was able to say, son, you need to think about this. My dad was extraordinary. He gave me the freedom. Children don't need a perfect parent. They need an involved parent, a parent who is interested in saying, yeah, let's figure this out. Let's figure this out. It's not a big deal. I mean, Amazon, it's a tool. Flipkart is a tool. Computer is a tool. This world is a tool. It's a window. How do you go into this world carefully? Well, don't be careful. Go with a parent and learn all the things that you need to watch out and then have freedom. I was there up in the Himalayas. We were caught in a snowstorm. How do I know? I've never had prior experience as to how to deal with being caught in a snowstorm. I look to the people who go up and down the mountain every day and I follow their lead. And then eventually I became comfortable. I knew it was safe. I experienced the joy of being there. I do skydiving. When I skydive from 11,000, 15,000 feet, I'm clutching to my skydiving jacket, even though I'm falling to the earth. Children are like that. They're trying to figure things out. Sometimes they're anxious. Just be there. Just be there with them. And I believe you will learn more from your children than the other way around. They already know stuff. They already know stuff. I mean, I don't need to mold my children. They are already fully formed. And nature versus nurture. I believe fundamentally a boy is different from a girl. Two boys are different from each other. What I'm trying to say is each child is unique. Each child is unique. And you need to figure out what it is that's going on in their world. nature versus nurture. I also believe in nurture. I also believe in active learning. I also believe that we should take a vocabulary book and then explore that and then understand words. Words are how we communicate to the other human beings. Words are how we think. They are the basic things of processing within your human brain. So I believe you don't need to be a perfect parent. You just need to figure things out along with your children, be involved. Again, I'm like a broken record, but I believe in it sincerely. And I believe this is applicable even for relationships. You need to be tuned in. And that means that you need to give the time. If I'm busy making millions in the world, I don't have time for children. I have missed being a parent, which is an extraordinary privilege, which is an extraordinary blessing. I cannot go back and fix things. I cannot do that. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I'm going to make it the center of my life. It's the cockpit, and everything else falls in place. I've retired 4 years back, but I've made more money being an active portfolio manager. What does that tell me? 12 years back, I have changed my profession from being a completely office bound to a completely homebound. That was one of the best decisions I made. I had no formal training. When I was interviewing my wife for marriage, it's an arranged marriage. If she asked me, will you be a stay-home dad? Will you stop your profession? Will you give up everything and stay home? I would say, I'm going to look for some other person. But today, here I am, and I'm enjoying it. I don't have a script. I'm not trained to be a dad. I'm not trained to be a husband. I'm not trained to be a sister or a brother. We need to figure things out. We need to be involved. We need to be connected. We need to say it's not a big deal. You fail, it's not a big deal. You need to figure things out. You need to get up. You need to move. You need to figure out another way. My son is excellent at lateral thinking. He comes up with a spectrum of solutions. He's not interested in one solution. He wants n number of solutions. Lateral thinking is important in life. It is important in negotiation. Yes, this is important to you and I'm not able to give. Let's figure out another way to make this work. To make this work is the most important thing. And that requires active intellectual involvement to understand the context, to see what spectrum of solutions are available. There is always more than one way to do something successfully. And whatever you do, you're successful if you're happy. And to be happy, you need to just keep doing stuff, to try to be involved. That's all.
Thank you so much, Ravi. So I think in a sentence, if I put it, parenting is not very dictative, but it's more collaborative between the parent and the child. I would just put it that way. So I'm just going to take the last question. We have a lot of questions coming up, but just the last question is, currently in today's world, how do you not pressurize the child to not be extrovert? Because being introvert is good sometimes, but generally the world has an impression that people who are extrovert or children who are extrovert are more happy. So why is it like this and how can I change it? It's a question by a parent. So any of you can take it
Yeah.
up.
Should I take it?
Yeah. Any of you can. Yeah.
Yeah. So if your child is introvert, doesn't matter. Maybe the child is thoughtful. We find children today, they talk so much, but their thinking skill they lack. So why we have to compare that, okay, the child is not extrovert, so that is how he is lagging behind somewhere. So we need to understand and respect the way the child is. So that is one thing. And other thing, maybe we can make the child, give him some exposure if the parents are very much interested, or if the child doesn't share anything with anyone, which is one important skill, like which is called a social skill, need to be developed. So for the social skill development, maybe the parents need to communicate and even make him also create the environment. There is a good communication happening within the family, and from there it goes to the peers, to the school interaction with the friends. So in this manner there could be encouragement given, and the child should be encouraged to have communication with everyone. Child should not be left out alone. There should be initiative taken by the parents and the family members to make the child to talk it out. So it's very important how environment you create even for the child to communicate. Because communication is very important skill, that is one thing. But sometimes some children, they are very exceptional. They talk less and they're more thoughtful. They're creative. So we need to understand how the child is.
Absolutely. Sonal ma'am, you wanted to add on?
Yeah, I was actually saying that she rightly intimated that the different kind of children. And also, you know, the vocabulary, the use of words, introvert and extrovert, if we kind of take out of the dictionary of parenting or teaching in that case, because I've seen in schools where a child, if asked the question, takes some time and respond, is tagged as slow learner. And a
That's
child
true.
who quickly answers the question is like wow factor. So I would say that I have been one person who is more reflective, introspective thinker. So even in this panel, if all of you are talking, probably I'll take some time to analyze what's happening. And maybe my brain is going to a next level of understanding, not the conscious level of understanding. I'm very much unconsciously involved and trying to analyze, understand what's happening. And probably Disha comes and asks me a question, I might take a pause for a minute and then answer. That doesn't mean I am dumb or I am introvert. So this is an answer to a parent, that take off the thing introvert comparisons. You know, it's literally coming out of the comparisons. The way you're seeing yourself into the ecosystem, maybe you see some children talking so much and you don't see your child talking so much. So that comparison is the root problem, not that your child is introvert or extrovert. Your child is a thinker, she very rightly said. Maybe your child is not you're doing at that point in time, but the child is analyzing something more beautiful, which you can't even touch, you can't even think of. So do not intervene in the journey of thinking process of a child, because there's stages a child, you know, they're the senses you use, you know, your eyes, your kinesthetics, your listening, everything comes in a great agreement, and then the learning happens. So child takes time to reach there. And I want to ask this person how old the child is. If it is an early years child, like a primary, then please let them breathe, give them a break. Let's not put them into that basket of analyzing. It is a later on, if a child is a middle or an adolescent, or okay, I agree, we have to work on it. But as early the children are in, let them be like birds. Just be with them. That's all.
To
Beautifully
add
put,
a
Sonal.
line there, we give a
Go
lot of
ahead.
emphasis on speaking, being extrovert. We should
Yes.
give equal, if not more, emphasis on being good listeners. I have
Absolutely.
found that introvert people are better listeners, and then they go a long way.
Absolutely,
Yes.
And
Mama.
being shy and introvert is a nature. It's a nature.
Correct, correct.
And they
I'd
can
just
check
like to
their
add,
family histories, you know, they can check their family histories. Let's not tag the children. If a father is an introvert or quiet person, or a mother, or maybe the grandparents, where the child is at fault, come on, that's inherited.
yes.
It's okay.
So I just would like to add that you need to learn to accept the other person as they are. We have circadian
Very
rhythms. We
true.
have energy levels changing throughout the day. For the first 20 years of my life, I was an introvert. The next 30 years, an extrovert. My kids say, go to being an introvert. I mean, you go through phases in life where you're really extroverted, and then you reflect, then you withdraw, and then you're digesting, then you're synthesizing, then you explode like a supernova with a host of ideas. You need to accept that. My son was very, very tentative. Now at 12 years, he's a confident gentleman. You need to be patient with them. Boys and girls are different. I mean, boys are different between two boys. Like I've said, each person is unique. They have their own flow, and you have to allow them to be themselves. One of the things that I might be guilty of when I'm parenting, that I'm watching out for, is am I giving too much energy? Am I giving them space to figure things out? Am I allowing them enough gap between the trees so that they can have their own roots and then they can grow to be massive trees? You need to give them space. You need to let them be themselves, but you need to throw out a lot of things. I'm a big believer that you need to, like Rigveda or Kathopanishad, they say you need to surround yourself with 200 ideas, 200 beautiful things, because they influence you. This, you should be surrounded by beautiful people with beautiful thinking. And the reason is because they influenced you. They change the way your brain is being built. It is dynamically being built, and that is going to be influenced by what kind of things you work on, how you take failure, how you lead life, how you explore. So my feeling is, accept your child. That's your starting point, and from there figure things out. If my child has very bad handwriting, it's not the end of the world. People have spent $200,000 in universities and have found the university degree to be not useful. And they spent 3 months working in the real world, and their world is transformed, energized, inspired, and they're motivated to go conquer and do stuff. People who do selfless service, extraordinary people, They are all over the world. They are not recognized, but there is so much you can learn from them. People come in all forms or shapes, and you need to figure out who they are. That requires you to take a moment and then accept them as they are, and then use that as a starting point to go wherever you want with them. You and your partner are walking on the beach. Your partner wants to go back. If you want to go forward, that could be the make or break point. But you need to figure out things. Hey, let's go back. Let's explore what's there in this cove. What is that beautiful gleaming thing? Let's figure it out. It's not a big deal. There is no script to life. You define success, what success means to you, and you go about it and you achieve it. So I would say go easy on your child, let them blossom.
Thank you so much, Ravi. So I think that was very insightful. I would just like to conclude by saying that every child is different. Every child is God gifted in their own way. Just like someone would, say their physical upbringing would be different. Similarly, their mental upbringing also has a stage. Some people are too smart when they are young. Some people, over a period of time, their cognitive abilities grow. So I think we need to give them their own space and time to grow as individuals, and they'll surely come out to be good at something. But yes, parenting, the most important part, I would say, is all parents want their child to be happy. So let them grow and be themselves, and just make sure as a parent that each one's happy and they're taking their life forward. So thank you so much for this interactive and very, very nice, thoughtful discussion. I think we've given a lot of insights to the parents who are watching us today, and I'm sure each one's taken different lessons for their own child, and they'll all turn out to be super cool parents, like I think how Ravi sir would uh, take their child's upbringing. So thank you so much. I would like to thank all the panelists once again, and looking forward to many such thoughtful conversations on the forum of dialogue with educationists coming ahead. So thank you all for joining us today, viewers. I'm really glad that all of you took out time. I'm so sorry that we've shot up by 30 minutes, but it's been really exciting, and the discussion's been very insightful. So thank you all. Stay tuned. See you all next week. Have a nice day. Goodbye and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you, Metamorphosis.
Thank you. Thank you for
This
the opportunity.
opportunity. Yeah, good. Bye-bye.